Hello, welcome to this video on invasive technologies and negative infringements, how to protect yourself against them, how to recognize them, how to avoid them. My name is Allie with A. Murray Speaks. It is May 16th, 2026, and let's just jump right into it. I'm not going to give a bunch of preambles about the whys and the setups. For now, maybe I'll go on about that later. I recorded a video yesterday, which is almost an hour, and I'm not sure if I'll even upload it, speaking and describing and talking about organic technologies, the organic cloud, as I like to call it, and our own body vessels, organic intelligence, and the technology that we are. Most of us know this kind of stuff already. And that's another reason why I'm not sure if I'll even put that video out, because it's a bit redundant, and I don't want to just be splashing around in the water doing nothing new. The new, and not to say that nobody knows about these kind of avoidance and protection, or nobody's talking about it, but that I think there's a framework difference between some of the people that I see who are talking about this kind of stuff versus what I'm going to say today. So hopefully it might add some dimensionality or new perspectives for people who've thought about this before. And also I might use some terms and language that everyone doesn't understand or agree with. It is what it is, and I'm just going to speak my own truths here. And I hold myself accountable and responsible for what I am speaking about, as I feel it is real and true in this moment. But I also give myself space to understand that I could be wrong. I could be just as misunderstanding as maybe someone else I feel that they are. So I'm give myself the wiggle room to be incorrect, being wrong. So I'm going to try also my hardest not to get wrapped up in the negative agenda or the they behind these things or the why they would do these things. I kind of feel like here in 2026, if people cannot understand or don't see for themselves already that there's an agenda at work here, and that there's a section of promoted people who are there to give the agenda versus the masses who are here to receive the agenda and play into it, and that those who are creating the agenda are not really looking out for our best interest. It's not a benevolent agenda. It's a self-serving slave master cycle, and I think it doesn't even matter in what world that you might be super aware of it or exposed to it, whether it's like the prison planet model, whether it's the joke of the rat race in the 9 to 5, whether it's medical tyranny, or anything in between. There's it's pretty hard to ignore or try to make excuses for the setup, that's promoted and provided out there. So let's, for this video, I'm going to assume and just say, if it's not for you, click off, but for those who can understand and see that there's a setup here, and that it's very important and crucial to their setup and systems that they have this technology, that they promote this types of operations, and that they restrict functionality, because they make money, they make power, they make energy, all of the above off of that stuff. So this video is going to just address a little bit about some of these infringing invasive technologies, and then mostly focus on the key to the whole thing, the skeleton key to every door for us as individual creator consciousness, how we can disassociate from all of that and not become a slave and just be free and sovereign. So there is plenty of background information. There's white papers, there's experiments, there's peer-reviewed, there's straight patents you can look at. There is, decades old released files that aren't even redacted that you can look at to see about all this kind of tech and what they have. They, as in the governments, as in alphabet agencies, as in the scientists, in their little pockets, and their think tanks, in all of the, from military to commercial, all in all of the realms. They have known for many, many years, the 1900s at least, through the 1900s, about our organic technology, about what the mind-body-spirit complex is, how it's a vessel, how it is, organically intelligent and designed by infinite intelligence in a way that surpasses any thinking, construction models or ideas that we as man, tinker with, come up with. Now, there's this bad tactic that takes place when we have negative system alignment set up that promotes secrecy, it promotes scarcity, and it promotes control of flow of information, flow of energy, flow of ideas, flow of literal physical action. And the system says and promotes, and of course it's reasonably by law, logically thinking, kind of falls into this parameter when you choose the direction of being negative, that if you're working on something, if you're coming up with something, then you do it in a private place, you do it in a place that is not transparent and that doesn't allow accessibility to the public, to the masses, to any other peers, to potential adversaries or enemies, or even just other peers that might be, working on the same type of thing. Everyone wants to be the first. They want to be the name to the claim. They want to own the patents, the rights, This is a thing about negative service. It says that you have to claim the service in order to get the retribution. And so they know, and they've known how amazing and miraculous and mysterious and conscious the body is. And they went and barricaded that out and kept it behind closed doors so that they had plenty of privacy, time, and space to manipulate, exploit, to dissect and tear apart, and use to their own volitions and purposes our humanities, as I say I mean humanities, organic technology. And in order for them to do that, in order for them to create enough space, in order to get that privacy and have that time to extort and exploit, they had to have a very strong propaganda arm to fool and trick. And if they couldn't fool and trick, just to create craziness, to create extreme what's the word? Like when you put somebody away, like in a prison, and you don't allow them to see anybody or talk to anybody, right? Like exile those outliers, so that the main population of people, and that goes for children, adults, elderly, anyone, at all different age ranges, to get them to stop talking about it, to forget about it, or to never know about it. And through the 1900s, there was a huge march, and I believe the Rockefeller industrialized educational system is a very jackboot in this sort of march that makes things possible. They also took over the medical world in America, well, across the world, but I'm in America. So that they could ensure that we lose this information, and that people are not taught about it, and that anyone who talks about it or knows about it or has access to things they don't want us to know about, sort of, that those people would become outliers, crazy. They would be put into special asylums or places where they could be experimented upon, where they could be tracked and noted. And that the main frame of the populace would start to do that on their own. They would start to bump out people who they thought were crazy, or talked about these kinds of things to do with spirit, to do with anything of these ESP realm, of all of the things that fall into these extrasensory perceptions, as they call them, and all the clair, clear hearing, clear seeing, all of these different versions of that, telekinesis, and all the things that... what they basically did is hijacked it, cut us off from it, and then resold it to us through Hollywood, through sci-fi, through books, and back through the doctors. And everyone's sort of waking up to this. And I think I saw a great short the other day of just a person, a regular girl, and lots of people are talking about this, the subscription trick and trap, and how everyone got fooled into never really owning anything, just renting it or paying every month for something that you could have bought outright. And even some of these things that you thought you did buy outright, all of a sudden they've come in with subscriptions that you have to pay for every month in order to have access to something that you thought you bought already. This is not a new tactic. They don't do anything new. They cannot. And they've done that to us, to our bodies already. And people are like, oh, they're gonna do it to the body soon. It's already happened. It's happened on multiple different levels and multiple different angles. Yes, the extreme version of what everyone's worried about these days, since there's this huge transhumanist push and to put computer technology into the body, and to really have this more observable handing over of the power of processing your thoughts, or whatever process that you want to upgrade with their technologies. It's that is, it's going to be blatant, it's going to be blunt, it's going to be very uncomfortable in that section of when you have to pay a subscription for a pacemaker, or if you don't pay your insurance bill every month, they just shut that off, or your insulin pump, or maybe you have like inserted birth control or something else. Maybe you're getting, time released narcotics or mental health drugs, and things like that. They're tangible, and people are worried about those things. But there's a lot more that's already taken place, that the weeds have already crept up into everything. They don't do anything risky, and they're not going to make a jump that they don't already have pre-planned. Hence the reason why for 70 to 100 years maybe they had to really stifle the mass of people in order to then control them. because if everyone understood and knew how precious, amazing, and divinely given their body vessel really is, and what type of amazing technology that it really is and has, we wouldn't trade it for anything. It's priceless. So yeah, meaning to say that people talked a lot about and I have for years, 10 years or more, Internet of Things, Internet of Bodies, Internet of Everything. This has never been in the future. It's always been, we are standing in the threshold of it. It's built around us. The architecture's here. There are people doing this right now. They're making all of the links up. They link every circuit before they hit on. It's not, circuits are built out here, turn it on and test it and let's see, and make some adjustments and stuff. No. So things like our natural electromagnetic pulsations, our torus field energy, things that are personal and individual to each one of us, gives off signals, gives off frequencies. And they have lots of technologies for all of it. This is the thing. We already have all this technology. People are like screaming about privacy. People are worried about losing their privacy. And I'm not promoting, I think the way that they are going about all of this is completely incorrect and negative, and it's not going to have good results at all. It's going to end up imploding on itself like all negative systems do. So I don't support them. I'm not trying to excuse it away or justify any of it either. What I really would like to open eyes to and have people remember and recognize is that they couldn't have any of that. They couldn't build any of that structuring if there wasn't already a beautiful organic foundation already created and accessible for all of us. And it's based on choice and intention, just like this whole world is, and as soon as you as the individual unlock that recognition and create a connection to God source, that your data, your instrument is compromised to the negative agenda, to the world around us, to the matrix. You have become a glitch. You have become unwanted outlier information. And they don't want it. They can't do anything with it. Because the thing is, they don't, what we're already doing is organically aligned. And the organic cloud, the organic benevolence that is the ether internet, the netting that literally connects all of us, already knows, is already there. And it operates freely, openly, and transparently. So it's like if you have a yard sale and everything's for free. If you have a free sign and yard sale out there, right? This is God organic. Free yard sale with a million different things on it. The negative agenda literally has fooled itself that free sign is not there. It doesn't see it. It tells itself there's a value for all of these things. It sees price tags in its own head and sees every item out there as this valued fiat currency money control mechanism, and then convinces itself that it's a thief and is stealing things from the yard sale, acquiring things of value that it actually didn't pay for, and then it's going to take it over to its own yard and make a yard sale and sell those things for money. All the while attempting to create, insurance worth around those things, and attempting to say that it's, GDP is higher because it has these things, attempting to then say its credit limit is unlimited because it has all these things over there, that it pretends that it's accumulated and that it's of worth. And then it attempts to fool others to come to its yard sale and buy the things from it, even though God Source has already put everything out for free. It's like you didn't create anything new, and all you're doing is taking readily available materials and forcing or attempting to coerce or create some kind of extra value or this like desirability to it to trick others to come to yours. And they put their yard sale first, like before you could get to God's, right? They'll go outside on the sidewalk outside the property and put their yard sale there. Or worse, like try to sell tickets to God's. The worst is they try to sell tickets to the yard sale. But the truth is, they'd have nothing to sell. They'd have nothing to do if there wasn't already this abundant source given by God. And what they're doing with technology, what they did with building the internet, what they've done with their cloud services, what they've done and they're attempting to do with their quantum computers and all their data centers is to cement in their versions of the technology, of the usages of something that's already within us, that's already given to us. Now, we could get mad about it. We can, be angry and have lots of kind of, rotten language and thoughts and wishes and desires for those people who create this false yard sale, but at the end of the day, that's not the point. That's not what this is all about at all. Because what we're meant to do is to use our tech, is to be connected in this beautiful organic intranet of selves in order to interact clearly and transparently, to serve the whole, to be, in interaction and exchange, openly and transparently, full of, unconditional love and the service, actionary service within us. But if we're so caught up in what they're doing, in their tactics, how they got there, who they are, we're never going to be able to just enjoy the things that we're meant to just do and enjoy. The more that we just enjoy and do the things that we're meant to do, they just are losing customers. Their stuff that they have stolen from the yard sale is just going to sit over there and expire. It's going to do what all natural things from organic manifestation do, which is follow a cycle of action and rest, of creation and entropy, so it will deteriorate, it will fall apart when it's not used. If you don't use it, you lose it. That is organic design that keeps positive systems flowing eternally. It ensures that excess energy is always shifting and moving into places where actionary potential is activated instead of restful times of peaceful in integrating activity and energies. So we don't need to worry about that. God source energy organic cycle takes care of their charade. We cannot actually impact that. And the more that you would attempt to change them or impact them, you have to degrade your energy, you have to degrade your tech and the frequencies that you put out in such a way that you become malleable energy to them, even though you're trying to be a deterrent or an enemy. It's just what they want. It's another flavor of something they can use. Instead, if we don't flavor ourselves in that way and we just do feel good things, we do things that serve the collective, we do benevolent, unconditionally, unconditional love inspired kind of actions, limitless feelings of abundance and energy that organic is bestowed upon us to feel from the start, they just fall to the wayside. They're chaff in the wind. God, the universe, source deals with that in source's time and space, which is not for us, is not for humans first person perspective to be consciously a witness of. We should respect and stay in our lanes. And that's how you'll really get where you're going. You're never going to get where you need to go if you're watching other drivers, if you're following behind in their lane, if you're taking exits where they go, or trying to block them from taking exits or anything like that. It's like you stay in your lane and you do what you are already in setting, in mode to do. And, that's how our organic alignment works. Beautiful organic tech, the all-knowing presence of God, and also this sort of timelessness that the ether holds the space for of this world of manifestation, it will take care of everything. And it truly does. And again, when we activate that space of knowing, when you're on your path in Zen mode, when you're in go mode, there is this resonance, this truth resonance, like a tuning fork sound that comes out of us. And you cannot be impeded, you cannot be infringed, you cannot be this invasive technology. It cannot get you. Point blank. When we get into doubt, when we get into worry, when we start to veer into someone else's lane, or, stop listening to the word of God that really comes through each one of us, then you're in trouble. Then you're totally chinks in your armor and they're going to come in. Not to say that doesn't happen sometimes, but the moment that we come back to center, and the moment that it's like a detox, it's like a refresh, and those things, those parasites, those parasitic energies, those invasive, inorganic tools and tech, they don't work anymore. They fall apart. They disintegrate. They fall off of you. They fall out of you. There's a million different ways that it takes place. But it's all from the same exact intention. This is the perfect simplicity of organic design, is that it's simple to follow. The template is manyness. It is varieties of fractalization. But the key through is one thing. It's gnosis and knowing. And it's that true connection to God, to source, to the great before and after, like I like to call it. And so, yeah, I think I've said this a couple different times in different ways, but it just seems like it's a home run, and it's simple and it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to you, or you have doubts and qualms and reasonings to why it might not work, take them to God. Take them inside you in a contemplative, humble, unknowing way. I feel these things. I don't know why. Can you create clarity around these? And God, source, your higher self, however information comes through to you, you will see answers. You will be given stability and comfort and solutions to these whatever impressions of doubt or fear that come up. And I speak from personal experience, and I speak from time and time again coming back to this kind of practices, and time again being exposed to, inverted, inorganic distortions of negativity attempting to close in on me, attempting to strangle out my light and love, or crush my sovereignty, or ask me. This is the thing. They can't, we say they crush your sovereignty, they say they attack you, but they cannot even present themselves unless you have already allowed it, unless you have already agreed to it, unless you're already in a defensive stance of attack mode because you believe you can be attacked, because you believe in this place. You've set up parameters that say that that's possible. But it is not the only way to think, and it is not the only potentialities, and it is not what imagination space is meant for, because our thoughts really do create our world, our realities. And how you choose to think and set your stance up and set what you are susceptible to or stronger than is all about you. It's all about what you think and how firmly or flimsily you believe these things. There's no one else to get mad at. There's, you can't turn around and blame others. And all of us have been susceptible to mind control mechanisms. All of us have been MK Ultra'd. All of us have been experimented on in different ways. All of us have been poisoned. All of us have been assaulted and tricked and trapped at different times in different ways. And it's okay. It's fine. We just need to take responsibility for our portion of the occurrence and say, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to fall for that again. And it's not just a solitary, I'm so great, I won't do this because I learned these things and I know these things. But it comes from the deepest I, the original I of I am, of I, of me, you, of same person, of individual, of a whole, of the within as the without, the outside, of us. And God is all of it, is all of us, honestly and truly. And if and when we recognize that knowership space comes from that great I am, then we can always find the strength. The strength will always come to us, will always be given to us, will always be whispered, bubble up within us, because, that's the way it works. That's the way that God so kindly, so graciously, and so amazingly has set into law. And it doesn't matter what man-made laws of language we think that we interpret and push onto others that might say different, or might give extenuating circumstances, or these slight potentialities of differentiation. That is the power of thought, the power of free will at work. What we have to understand is that God's will, the truth, an organic template, is underneath it all. And that, we can choose to do whatever we want. But the moment we make the choice to align our choices with God's will, which we already know, which is always within us, just like our DNA instructions are within us, when we choose to align with that, then it's like the impression matches the picture, and it seals itself and works. So getting into that place for yourself is unbelievably important in this world, because there's an activation point of truth. Now, people call it goosebumps. Some people, I've seen some great channels out there, like Sabrina Wallace, and talking about the peripheral nervous system and the fact that, see, when you do this, see your hair, my hair's standing up if you can, and this goosebump effect. When you tell the truth, when you're speaking your truth, when you're aligned to God, this happens. You know, that's a natural antenna standing at attention, because it is receiving and transmitting at the same time. And we're all meant to do this. This is the truth tuning fork that I speak about. And other people, it's, you know, this is a final stage representation as well. And I spoke about this before, because it's spirit to mind to physical. Physical representation is the last. Even though it's the first confirmation that we see through physical world, people could see outside that this is true. It's the last space of confirmation. It has to come from within. And so we get better and better at, before this happens, to feeling that within, or to sensing the energies and information that is coming from source connection, instead of process points that are coming from the brain, that are coming from anatomy, that are coming from input from eyes, ears, you know, our physical senses. The brain processes and interprets that information much differently than it processes and transmits information to source connection through the spirit layer, like I like to call it the spirit layer. It's deeper, and it's deeply integrated. So people get good at sensing that one first, or they get better at sensing the mind's thoughts are in a different flavor or frequency or tone or sound. It depends. Everyone hears and thinks differently. But this sort of activation of this feeling of goosebumps, or sitting on edge, or heart fluttering, or a pit in the, some people it's in the pit of the stomach, you know, or feet tingling, hands sweaty. There's so many different feelings that come along with that. But those outer expressions that the science world has claimed as markers to these kind of connectivities, they're really the last place of reception and interaction. And so if we get into deeper states of observation with the self, then you'll learn those inner languages, and you can become fluent in them. And then the fluency just helps communication even further. But looking for things like that at first, if you're lost, if you're really looking to know, well, how do I know if I'm connected to God or not? You know, I don't want to have these worries or doubts anymore, but I just don't know how to do it. You know, you can start with looking for things that bring you to that place, and then reverse engineering it kind of from there. Well, how did I get there? What brought it forward? And then learning to self-activate that kind of thing. And then also, you know, giving yourself a place to weigh external experiences. Did that bring it on? Did that call forth this kind of thing that now I'm calling my truth meter? Did it go against it? You learn to feel feelings of like no versus feelings of like yes to yourself. And, you know, I would say at that point, then you could be ready, or we can be ready to try to counteract or activate this sort of protection that keeps us from being infringed upon with these invasive negative technologies. So I'm going to leave that there for now. Probably talk about this more at another time, but it's long enough for today. So thanks for listening. If you stuck with me through this whole thing, I really appreciate listening to me, and I'll see you next time.